Hey there, Newport. I'm Chris Funk, and joining me now is Phil Cook.
Hi.
Thanks, Phil Cook.
Thanks, Chris.
Phil performed this morning, this being the Sunday, so we're time-stamping this a little bit with a fantastic gospel ensemble, I will call it. And Phil is an amazing musician who's played at Newport for many years, but I happened to catch Phil in one of the alleyways here like we do at Newport, and he told me about a new gospel label that he's starting, and I was like, that's really interesting. So I wanted to sit down with you and hear about the label, and then talk a little bit about what it's like suddenly running a label, or not to presume that you've never run a label, but hear what it's like running a label. So tell us all about this label.
The label's called Spiritual Helpline, and I started the label. I had no aim or desire to be a label owner.
Yeah.
I frankly don't have the structural fortitude for it, and my organizational skills doesn't include anything that is label owner or operator.
Then why do it? Then why do it?
But I love music. You love music.
Yeah.
And I really love the canon of American music and learning about American history and world history, but really American history through the lens of music and through the actual like really seeing how it all works. But in that journey, the music that I've been the most drawn to has been the Black American experience through funk and soul and jazz and all these other things that I have had whole journeys with and just learned about our country and our history and our heritage and our problems through. And gospel's where I've kind of really ended up really feeling the most at home with. And it's been something that's brought me healing in times when I really needed it, and brought me spirituality in a way where I just was like, I don't know what I'm feeling about God right now, but I know how I feel about Aretha's Amazing Grace record, and I know that when I need to go to that record, to the well, like the water, where I know that it will fill me up.
Right.
You know this. We're at Newport.
I do know this.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the last 10, 12 years, I've just started really meeting a lot of people from that community, and including people who are just living right around the corner from me.
That's amazing. And where's that at?
Durham, North Carolina. So it turns out I grew up in Wisconsin. I moved down there, and I have this incredible, fortunate situation that I live in the hotbed of American gospel music in this state that I live in. There's so much gospel music.
Wow.
So much talent, so much, so much culture bearing, so many tradition bearers that are just carrying with this cultural wealth, and bearing it on forward into the future. And I just am waking up to it all the time. So
amazing.
That's that. Really, the label starts with the relationships, and it starts with me just meeting a woman named Lena Mae Perry, who's here at the festival today.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah.
She's amazing. She's 83. When I met her, she was 76 or 75. And I realized my relationship with her became the basis for just, the further we got into it, it was just so much better. It was so much clearer for me, a couple of things. Number one, most gospel artists have a live album because gospel music is all about inviting the spirit and really having that in the room. And this queen did not have a live album in her almost 50-year history.
Wow. Of
being on there, and it just when I knew that, it just sat in my mind, And the longer we were friends, I wondered if there was a way that I could help with that, because I know what it's like to stand next to her on stage, like she did today. I know what it's like to stand, every place I've been. I mean, this is when I started the label. Here's when it was. It's when she and I did a concert in Fish Creek, Wisconsin, which is Green Bay. All the way at the tip up here is this little Fish Creek, Wisconsin. It's the pastiest place in North America. It's the whitest place.
I used to tend bar there at the Alpine Lodge on the golf course.
Chris.
It's very white.
I'm so glad I don't have to tell you anything more about the setting and setting for this concert. That not only that, but we were performing at a middle school. We're performing at the end of a day for middle schoolers at the end of a week.
Yeah.
Not a setup for a transcendent experience. Let's just say I was a little bit nervous. In fact, I was terrified. And it was a whole review show, and the kids did exactly what you thought they would do. They were just like shuffling and just being like, oh God, come here. But then this woman hits the stage and she sings 2 songs, and I literally saw a kid, I saw a kid in the front row. Just like, and like didn't choose to stand up. He wasn't choosing what he was doing with his body. It was all happening. And then I saw this auditorium of kids, just like the way that they responded to her. And I said, this can't be the more unlikely and most against the odds circumstance.
Right.
And so I'm like, how can I help like capture this spirit?
Right.
So eventually I convinced her to like make a live record, and I just wrote a grant for it because I didn't have any money.
Right.
And I got a grant. And
Amazing.
So we recorded this live record, and then I was like, well, what am I gonna do with it? It was nothing like, hey, I'm gonna start a label. It's like I was just started from like a relationship and a love of music and a friendship, and then like noticing a gap, and then being like,
Right.
how can I help? And then there's that, and then I had these master recordings, and I'm like, okay, who am I gonna sell? Who am I gonna
What do
give
we
these
do
to?
with this? Sure.
It's all this stuff where it just like I found myself consistently stumbling into like, yeah, I guess I gotta do it, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I think that I'm kind of a funny guy to talk about label stuff with, because it's just like I don't have. It's only relationships and music, because that's my life's work.
Right.
Chris, it's just like I'm a relationships guy, I'm a music guy. So it's not, I'm like going out and signing people. It's just like I meet Mother Perry, you know, and then while I'm on the road, I meet somebody, and then once I'm in a relationship with them, then I kind of like start to learn about how that would work, how I could do something with them. It's slow moving, but
Right.
it's like while we walk along, that's the speed I need to go
Yeah.
at.
Right.
So it's true to me. I'm glad that it's there. It still honors what I love to do. I hate the admin part of it, but part of the great thing is that, like, you know, you and I both know really great people that have great skill sets, and a lot of people like want to help.
Right.
You know, so I've just kind of found community around me who are just like, do you have this taken care of? What about this and this? And I'm like, I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, you know, really, I think that from what I bring to it is more like I bring the relationships and the music and kind of the actual music vision and the production, but then I'm just relying on my community around me to help me just fill in the gaps of making sure everything does what it does.
Right.
And my commitment to the artists is really such that I just, you know, want to reverse the exploitative trends that have happened in the music industry, especially within the Black community for the last 100 years. And so it's a 70-30 split in favor of the artist.
It's amazing.
And the artist gets, the artist gets 300 CDs like immediately, and that's theirs to sell.
Yeah.
And they get all that, whatever that is. And then they get to keep their masters. And so then it's
Wow.
on me to figure out how to find all the rest of this stuff.
That's amazing.
So I kind of throw myself into like a hustle that
Yeah.
I'm not really ready for, but I'm committed to. And I got the right people around me that'll just like helping me to figure out how it can continue to work.
Right.
And where we can kind of be creative and how that works. But I think that's what's really important to me, is that I'm not just another white dude coming in and extracting things out of your community and just gloriously splitting all the masters with them. And when they get a sync or something like that, it's like, oh, it's great,
Right.
yeah, whatever. No, it's just like, it's not my music, dude.
Yeah.
You know, it's not my tradition to actual there, but I love being able to amplify the signal of people that I know that I believe in super hard.
Yeah, I think the business is very seductive, and I think a lot of people get into it, and you're still carrying that spirit on, in the sense of like in someone who starts a label, right? And we know many people who started indie labels that started making a lot of money, and then suddenly saw that money and felt that money and sort of cashed their emotional chips in, I'll say. So I think that's really amazing that you're honoring that initial passion and that initial spark of seeing a kid in a chair, and you're like, I'm actually behind the scenes, I'm going to make the contracts resemble something that is artist facing. You know,
Yeah.
like that's really important and really lacking in the industry of music.
Absolutely.
To the point where I'm like, why is a business person in music, right?
Yeah.
At this point, when the artist is not really making money, or eventually, you know, they end up getting a job doing this or this, and no longer making money making music, you know.
Yes.
So that's incredible.
I can't claim that I've made them boatloads of money thus far. I
Sure.
released my second record this last Friday. It's here, and there's Thomas Ryan, who also was on the
Yeah,
set.
amazing.
So I mean, then in the Union are the third record I'm going to work on next year. So it's all this is the family you saw. This is the band, the house band, and
Right.
whatever it is, we'll figure out how to do it along the way. But yeah, I just hope that it's set up in a way so that, you know, and I can get, you know, the people on stages like this where they can really see the power of what someone like Thomas or Mother Perry brings in their spirit.
Sure.
And just receive something and really kind of, you know, maybe one of those people has some, you know, connections or a platform or a thing that can give them opportunity that I can't. I can just try and set it up for them in a way that honors them, the way that they deserve to be honored, and the way that I honor them, and the way I think of them. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking with Nathaniel earlier, and he was saying how he didn't even want to record SOB, and Richard was like, "Look, Richard Swift was like, we got to record this." So I offer that because you never know where a song is going to go, and you never know where. And I offer this to younger people as well, and I would assume you would agree that even though you're like, I'm not making these people boatloads of money, you never know where a song is going to go. So that Coke commercial comes through, and they're like, we'd like to use her song. Suddenly, there's a lot of money, and that's her family's lineage of money, right? That's how this all works, you know, and behind the scenes. So I think that's really, you deserve a lot of credit for doing that. And
we should
I
be the
think
ones hustling. We should be the ones hustling our butts off to try. They should do what they do and what they came here to do, and that should be something, that should be enough. And people should be able to live their life with dignity, you know, and sustenance in a way that that really honors what they brought culturally to their communities and beyond their whole lives. And they, you know, and gospel music is a genre you don't retire from.
No,
you do that until you die.
Of course,
you know, it's different than whatever other things.
Yeah, sure. But in particular, in a country where we're so proud of our music here, where I see so many artists that helped create this music, you know, or created rock and roll by the beginnings of gospel music. We can go on and on through country and bluegrass and look at these things, and you look at these people not making money, and you see this country that's so wealthy. It's really always just a head scratcher to me when you see artists at the end of their careers with nothing left because they signed a bad deal. Yes. So I again applaud you for honoring them.
I have a great community of people around me, and again, you know, it's just like. It's just an awareness thing. All of us choose what we pay attention to and choose how we use our time. But like, if music finds us, I don't feel like you choose the music. You just live your life, and then something resonates your chamber. And if you're paying attention, you're just like, oh, that's a real thing right there, right?
Right.
And so I didn't choose gospel music. It just chose me in a way that I just feel like is like, you know, it's just piqued my interest and my awareness and my, you know, and just it's opened my eyes to so many things, you know, and really brought me into closer community with the church community. And it ended up also becoming something again that unfolded that really took me by surprise was we ended up shooting the concert film with a film team. And they were like, well, let's just we'll have a little promotional video thing with like a little concert video with like that can go along with it. That'll be cool. Great, you know, whatever. And then fast forward 3 years later, like we made an entire documentary film that we just like through the pandemic, through everything, we ended up really going deep into her life and then threading the concert footage throughout it. Again, not knowing where this was all headed, it just ended up like there was no intention. Just we arrived at this place, and her spirit was the thing that we were all following.
Right.
And you know, and that enjoyed a debut at Telluride Film Fest, which was insane. We were like, Mother Perry was there. We were like downtown Telluride, this little film team.
Yeah.
The next budget that was like we had a tenth of the budget of the next highest thing that got in there, whatever it was, or like the next lowest budget. We had a tenth of that. And here we are like Benedict Cumberbatch and all these people are just like walking around with like blue sunglasses on and all these things. And Mother Perry's just Mother Perry. And we had
the documentary is called Mother Perry?
Stay Prayed Up.
Stay Prayed Up, thank you. Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. So like, the Spiritual Helpline also is a film company actually too now. So because like it's a Spiritual Helpline production of this film, and so you never know what's going to happen when you just start this idea and a middle school kid starts bouncing his leg in the front row and you pay attention. You're like, I think I'm going to try this thing, and all of a sudden, like years later, you're like, I don't even know what this is anymore, and I don't even know how to actually say it's a label. It's a thing. It's really a project based on relationships, and what most is that right now. Music is my fortitude. Yeah. That's the film is not, but music definitely is, so I know I can do that. So, I mean, you know, I stumble a lot, but I have great people around me.
I love it. Speaking of great people, Phil Cook, you're a great person, and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Great to be here, man.
Thanks, y'all. That was awesome.
Thanks, man.
Dude, I'm so pumped.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's so cool.